Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 9th edition of Impulse Talks. We'll start right now. So we are glad to have you with us today to talk about industry. As you are starting to be aware, our ambition with Impulse Talks is to provide an international overview of innovation and how tech is developing in construction and beyond. So each month, we are featuring some of the best startups alongside testimony from industry leaders and perspective of VCs, as it's going to be the case today. And we are covering topics such as digital construction, smart cities, and today we'll talk about Industry 4.0. So please turn off your microphone and your camera to make the session as smooth as possible. And for your information, this session is being recorded. Thanks a lot to our distribution partners for relaying this information about the session. And before we start and we go deeper into the program, I would like to tell you about Impulse Partners. Okay, so a few words about Impulse Partners before we start the session. So at Impulse, we are passionate about innovation in construction, smart cities, and industry. So we know that these are some of the biggest sectors in the world, but they remain largely under-optimized. So we are convinced that there is a huge opportunity for innovation and for entrepreneurs in those fields, and that they can help reshape the industry, improve efficiency and sustainability. So our role at Impulse is to detect the most promising startups and to connect them with their market. So we act as a third party and a facilitator between industry players, startups, and investors. So we work with many of the largest names, as you can see on this slide in the middle. You can also see our different focus sectors, and we have helped more than 600 startups companies to accelerate their go-to market. Part of our jobs is to bring people together across the value chain and across geographies. And this is exactly what we are doing today and what we will be doing during this session, considering the startups who will be speaking, the VC that will testify at the end, and how diverse the audience is. So indeed, as you can see on this slide, we have people right now. People are going to come along this session from many different countries. We are currently, around 35 people, but more than 80 participants have registered for this session. And most of you are industry leaders in materials, engineering firm, contractors, and investors. So we are glad to gather people from all over the world on such an interesting topic. Last thing before we start, you will receive a link to a questionnaire right now in the chat, and you can also flash the QR code on your screen. It's a really short questionnaire. It helps us to make our session even better. And also, if you want to be put in touch with any of the featured startups, it's the way to do so. So we have done many introductions in the past, and we'll be more than happy to keep doing it. So please just take a few moments to fill this questionnaire at the end of the session. So without further ado, I'm glad to give the floor to Jérome today, our expert at Impulse on industry matters. And Jérome, if you're hearing me, it's your time to talk.
I am. Thank you very much, Benjamin. Industry 4.0 can be defined as a path to improve industry with innovations to better respect the environment by reducing carbon emission, for instance, to improve the security of the workers, to optimize and digitalize time-consuming processes. And at Impulse, we are helping key players in the industry to achieve this transformation with innovation approaches such as open innovation, internal startups coaching, startups investments, and so on. I'm not going to go through each use case listed on the slide or ways to industry can be improved, but I will only introduce 4 of them because they are going to be the topics of today. So today, Christina from SurfCleaner will cover industrial oil spill cleanup and water treatments. Mathieu from NavVis will cover real-time monitoring and optimization. Damien from Rovenso will elaborate an automation-based assistant. And finally, Arnaud from Energiency will speak about energy efficiency. So coming up today, we will hear 4 entrepreneurs from Sweden, Germany, Switzerland, and France pitching their innovation while showing us some use cases. And finally, Sarah will tell us more about Benhamou Global Ventures, an early-stage VC firm with investors working from the US, UK, Israel, Paris, and India. She will explain how active the fund is when it comes to Industry 4.0. This is a 1-hour session, and we will have a few minutes at the end of the session for Q&A. So if you have any question during the webinar, feel free to post them on the chat. And we will ask them at the end if we have some time left, but we can also ask the startups the question after this session if you want to. So I give the microphone back to Benjamin for the rest of the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jérôme. So we will now we'll start with the first startup, Christina. So you have 5 minutes to tell us more about your innovation and what you do at SurfCleaner.
All right. Hi, everyone. I can't see my first picture yet, but okay. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I am the sales and marketing manager for SurfCleaner. And yeah, we can switch to the next slide, please. Yeah. So what you see here is 1 liter of crude oil being poured into the pool. And this video was taken 10 years ago, approximately. So you see an old SurfCleaner that we have there, our smallest one. So then the SurfCleaner starts to collect, and the oil and the water gets poured inside the SurfCleaner. And it also attracts from the sides, as you can see here. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be thick oil, it could be sludge, microplastics. As long as it floats, then we can retrieve it. And even the thin oil sheets that you see here, we take care of. And in this case, we exit it in a see-through plastic bag. So you can see that there's no water inside the oil. You can just practically reuse it. So next slide, please. So we've divided our customer segments into 2 segments based on our products and the customers. So the oil spill one is for the industry, it's for refineries, it's for Coast Guard and oil depots and whatnot. And then we have more than 35 references at the moment in that segment. And then the water treatment. Everyone knows that wastewater treatment have problem with floating sludge and foam, and there's no way to automatically retrieve it. So that's what we discovered that our machine can do. So that's something that we do as well. So next slide, please. So how does this cool machine work? What you see here is a cross-section of the device, and SurfCleaner floats on the water surface, and you place it in the media you want to remove. There's a propeller in the bottom, creating a negative pressure. So it starts to pull down, as you see here, both the water and the pollutant down into the machine. And based on our design, we try to slow down the velocity so the gravimetric separation can occur. So the pollution starts to float up in the SurfCleaner, and the clean water will pass through the propeller down in the bottom. And as long as it floats, we can take it. And as you can see here, it starts to fill up. With more pollutants, the SurfCleaner becomes lighter because the pollution is lighter than water. And the sonar will detect this automatically and reverse the flow of the propeller. So it will create a water piston, pushing positive pressure from underneath, pushing up the pollutants inside of a container, a plastic bag that you saw earlier, or back into a refinery. So it's 24/7, automatic, continuously. And this particular model has 12 cubic meter separation capacity per hour, so it's half a swimming pool. So you can change to the next one, please. So the customer case I want to talk about today is about the refinery, and the biggest source of their CO2 or VOC emissions are from the API ponds, and we actually where the wastewater from the refinery ends up. And we got a phone call from Augusta Refinery in Sicily saying, okay, can you help us? We have a lot of emissions, more than 150,000 liters of diesel every year, and that's a lot, just vaporizes in the air. And the government said, you have to take care of this, otherwise you have to stop your refinery. So they had 4 other previous skimmers, like basic skimmers before, and they just decided to replace it with our device, 2 of them. And yeah, that's how it started. So you can change to the next slide. The benefit for us and for them, it's we can reuse the slop. So we can actually take out one of the processes that they had because there's no water in the oil, so they can reuse it. So basically on that, they can have a return on investment less than 3 years. And you also remember me talking about 150,000 liters of diesel vaporizing. Well, Sonatrach said that we can reduce, and that we have reduced their CO2 emissions by 96%. So that means it's better for the environment, and you can also reuse it. And another thing is that it's fully automatic. You just install it, and you have it fully automatic, and just 24/7. Oh, someone's mic is on, so I hear some music. But anywho, it's less downtime and a low maintenance. So, and Sonatrach basically said that we had only 2 hours downtime in our refinery due to reparations or cleaning device. So that's nothing basically. And due to the Paris Agreement, the refineries have a tough job at the moment because they're going to get some fines on the CO2 emissions that they let out. So for them, they have to reduce their VOC emissions, and they have to be less energy consuming, and they have to be less downtime and low maintenance because you're not going to earn money now from oil. So that's some of the benefits that we've done for Sonatrach. And I mean, that's something that we do for the industry as well. So we can help you to earn money, basically, and save the planet at the same time. So I hope that I hold my time. So thank you for that. And if you have any questions, just contact me and let's see if we can do something for you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Christina, for starting off this session and giving us such interesting use cases. If someone has a question now, we have 1 minute or 2 to answer it. Otherwise, feel free to post it on the chat or in the questionnaire, and we'll be happy to connect you with Christina. Well, thank you, Christina. We'll now move to another startup. We'll go with NavVis and Mathieu talking to us from Munich. So Mathieu, if you're hearing us, please turn your camera and your microphone, and you have 5 minutes to tell us more about what you do at NavVis.
Okay, thanks a lot, Benjamin. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mathieu Klucker. I am the Enterprise Account Executive at NavVis, responsible for France and Benelux. And today I would like to tell you about the NavVis Digital Factory Twin approach, or in other words, how NavVis can bring your factories to your fingertips on any device and accessible from anywhere. Next slide, please. So first, a few words about NavVis. The company was founded in 2013 based on a research project at the Technical University of Munich. Today, the company has already reached 200 employees, mostly based in Munich, but we also have an office in New York and an office in Shanghai. And we have a network of partners in 35 countries, and I'll come back to this concept of partners later on in the presentation. Over the years, we have patented many inventions in the field of 3D data processing, robotics, and artificial intelligence. And we have already gathered more than 40 million euros in funding since the creation of the company. Next slide, please. So now I would like to tell you a little bit about the situation that many customers, manufacturing customers are facing, especially since last year with the COVID-19 crisis. The customers in the field of manufacturing always have to transform their manufacturing processes to remain agile, to become more agile, to become more efficient, and in the end be more competitive. And with the current situation with COVID-19, there's a big challenge for them. First, they have to make decisions about their production plans remotely because they cannot access the plants anymore. They have had to put sanitary measures in place without, again, accessing the factory for most of them. And the typical factory change projects that they always have to do to keep transforming themselves have to be run without the ability to go on site. So you can imagine that this is a big challenge for them. Next slide, please. So how do they actually take decisions and plan projects from the central planning teams? Well, in fact, they've had to use the existing information about their factories, and this information can be in the form of paper plans or PDF documents or CAD models when these are available. The problem with this type of documents is that they are almost never reflecting the reality of their factories. The first reason why they don't reflect the reality is that at first things never get built exactly as planned. That's the first problem. And then over the time of over the lifetime of these facilities, changes are made to the factories to adapt, and these changes unfortunately rarely get updated in the plans. So in the end, the information in the plans, in the documents, are completely outdated, and as a consequence, the decisions I was talking about in the previous slide are made based on inaccurate information. So let's go to the next slide. And so this is one of the problems. Not so fast. Don't start the video yet. If you can go back. Thank you. So this is one of the problems we solve at NavVis by providing a solution to quickly create an exact digital 3D replica of your plants. And the video that I'm going to ask to run in a couple of seconds illustrates how we create these digital twins and then the result. So now you can start the video. So how do we create the digital twins? The first step is for these local partners, which I mentioned in the second slide. These local mapping partners to go on site and do a 3D acquisition of the factory using NavVis scanning technology. The NavVis scanning technology, from which you see one example here, is a technology that's called mobile mapping. And this approach of mobile mapping means that we can scan super fast. We are typically 10 to sometimes even 20 times faster than the traditional scanning technologies. And this is a great advantage because then the digital twins can be created very rapidly. After a couple of weeks of work that we do in the back office at NavVis, then you have the result, and the result is a fully immersive virtual visit experience of your factory in a collaboration platform that's called NavVis Indoor Viewer. And this NavVis Indoor Viewer is available on all devices from anywhere and at any time. So I think with that, I should be almost at the end of my presentation. I will be very happy to tell you more if you're interested. Just reach out to me and let's discuss.
Thank you so much, Mathieu, for this presentation and for the concrete example in the video you showed us. It seems that it has blocked along the way. If you have any questions, feel free to do so. At the moment, use the chat or just use your microphone and we'll be happy to answer one or two. If not, we'll jump to our next presentation with Rovenso. And thank you again, Mathieu. And Damien, if you hear me, it's your time to talk and tell us more about what you do at Rovenso.
Yes, good evening, everyone. So my name is Damien Forest, and I'm in charge of product and business development at Rovenso. If you can start the presentation, Benjamin, thank you. So we are a Swiss startup with roots from the École Polytechnique Fédérale of Lausanne, and our mission is to design and operate autonomous robots for security, safety, and business integrity. For that, we are supported by a Californian investor and a Swiss investor. And since our inception, we had several recognitions in the world of robotics and from industrial clients. Next, please. First, I will present you our technology in a few words. So Rovenso is our first autonomous robot. It quickly generates a digital twin of its environment, be it indoor or outdoor, which is then used to define patrols and for navigation. For mobility, Rovenso has a unique chassis that can adapt its shape to cross obstacles such as steps, stairs, or rough terrain. And it also benefits from a long battery autonomy to do 8-hour patrols, which is unique on the market, or also possibly to do 24 hours guarding with small recharging cycles. Its patrol can be random for security purposes, and its sensors allow detection of anomalies at 360 degrees, also using thermography and acoustic analysis to detect intrusion, fire start, water or gas leakage, and also to check the integrity of equipment. Next slide, please. So since a short video is better than a long speech, I'll let you see Rovenso operate indoor and outdoor. The video went quite fast. The robot is not that fast. So you can see it can rotate 360 degrees on itself. It can drive on rough terrain, which is convenient for industrial site, energy site, transport infrastructure. And its unique chassis, which is patented, can climb most kind of stairs. So during the patrol, a digital twin of the environment is also rebuilt. Next slide, please. If we compare our solution to other autonomous robots, we have more mobility than wheeled robots, the American ones that you see on the top right. And also we have more reliability than leg robots, since, for instance, we have only 4 engines for motricity, whereas leg robots have between 12 to 16 engines, which is more costly to manufacture and also less reliable for lengthy operations. Also, if we had to compare with crawler robots, we have much more battery autonomy. Next slide, please. Our economic model is to rent and maintain the robots with a fee per workday. So the starting rental are at 100 € per day, which is at least twice more competitive than traditional guarding. Depends on the country, of course. And for large and complex sites, it's also more efficient to have mobile cameras than installing fixed cameras, which is additional savings, and to which we can add other benefits like equipment monitoring, or also do inventory counting with 20 times more autonomy than drones, for instance. And the last benefits can be on the security of the premises to detect potential fire starts. Next slide, please. In summary, here are the segments we can address with an example on the French market. So the security and safety provided by our robot can help on energy production or transformation sites, solar farms, nuclear plants, transportation infrastructures, oil and gas sites, or also warehouses or R&D centers. Next slide, please. And to conclude, at the moment, we are conducting pilots in France and Switzerland and looking for new pilots. I don't know what went wrong with the slides. You don't see our team, but anyway. And we are looking for additional pilots to implement new use cases and preparing our Series A funding this year. So thank you for your attention, and feel free if you have any question.
Thank you so much, Damien, for this quick intro to Rovenso, and we clearly see that you can address different markets and industries, and that's quite interesting for our audience, I think. If no one has any questions for Damien or does not want to ask them at the moment, we'll move to our next startup. So thank you, Damien, for this testimony. And we'll now talk about artificial intelligence with Arnaud from Energiency. So Arnaud, if you hear me, you can please switch on your camera and your mic.
I'm done. You can see me and hear me. It's okay. I'm done.
Perfect. All right.
Hi, everybody. So please next slide, Benjamin. So I am Arnaud Legrand. I'm the founder and CEO of Energiency. We are an 8 years old scale-up with a team of 30 people operating in Europe and Asia. We develop our own technology based on artificial intelligence and in order to save energy in manufacturing. So we raised almost 10 million euros. We're backed by several investors. If you can go on the next slide. So the pain points we're solving is that, just imagine a shop floor operator in a factory in action on his machines. Most of the time, he has just no time to deal with so much data within the factory. And the thing is that 80% of the time, factories are still using a well-known spreadsheet to leverage so much data. That's really a great familiar tool, but it's more like a 0.4 tool than a 4.0 tool. And automating this energy data analytics on a broad scale with the technology and energy coaching is our idea to solve the problem. So on the next slide, you can see our value proposition. So we are the first energy intelligence 100% dedicated to manufacturing. So we're a software and a team of energy managers that turn together in real time thanks to human intelligence and artificial intelligence, raw data from any meters within the factory into personalized action plans for operators. We do this whatever the data context and the maturity of the plant without any investment, and we achieve up to 15% of new energy and CO2 savings in factories. So I will illustrate on the next slide one use case, and then you'll see a video of another use case. So here we are working today with SKF. SKF is the world leader of bearings production. They have more than 100 factories in the world, and that's very complex facilities with hundreds of meters producing data every second. So with our digital twin, you can see on the screen, this manufacturer can visualize in blue the baseline of its minimum energy consumption required for a week of production. Here, for instance, it's compressed air. So we calculate in real time in yellow and red the energy wastes when drifting from this blue baseline. And our algorithms also assess in green the energy saved while coaching these manufacturers with a team of energy managers. So as our energy managers are pushing recommendations and animating with operators in the shop floors new actions to implement, our customers can directly take action on their machines and save around 6% in this use case of new energy savings with us. It's a fast payback, less than 1 year most of the time, and they can really assess this almost in live in real time thanks to us. So on the next slide, you'll see a short video of a customer. It's been a 6 years customer so far. So it's a paper mill, one of the biggest paper mill in Europe. It's from the Norwegian company Norske Skog. It's the European leader of recycling newspaper. So they are burning quite an amount of energy a year. They're actually in the top 10 of French factories with something around 1 terawatt hour of electricity per year. And the total energy bill, all included, is around 100 million euros a year. So it's a really huge facility. So they have huge maturity. They didn't wait for us to really work on this. And thanks to Energiency's algorithms, we allow them to predict the exact amount of energy that will be spent in the next minute, hour, or day. As we leverage from their data, we help them on the shop floor and also on purchase energy at a better price. And thanks to us, instead of waiting another month for their bill, they can now better anticipate future drifts in the shop floor. They can also get an easy ISO 50001 certification for energy improvement, and that's worth tens of thousands of euros a day for most of the days they are working with us. So you can go on the next slide. We are proud today to work with major manufacturers in the world, world leaders in many sectors: food, chemistry, paper, automotive, steel, glass, plastics, cosmetics. like ArcelorMittal, for instance, or Solvay, world leaders in their sector, L'Oréal as well. And we are now operating in 6 countries in Europe and Asia, with half of our revenues being made internationally, and from our SaaS business model. So to conclude on the last slide, our strategy is that most manufacturers put us at the heart of their Industry 4.0 strategy, and to save even more energy and CO2. So feel free to ask me any questions on the chat or at the end of the session. And you can also visit the website and discover other use cases and get in touch with our commercial team. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Arnaud, for this introduction to Energiency. It's also quite interesting, as it is the case as Rovenso, to see the amount of applications that your product can satisfy. So thanks a lot, Arnaud, for this testimony. I don't know if you have any questions. If not, I'm happy to welcome Sarah Benhamou on the floor. So after hearing a few testimonies from startups, let's now hear the investor side. And Sarah is working at BGV, Benhamou Global Ventures, a global early stage VCs, with offices in the Valley, in Paris, and also in Israel. So Sarah, you have 10 minutes to tell us more about what you do at BGV.
Yes, hi, hello everyone. First of all, thank you very much, Benjamin, for inviting me today. It's a real pleasure to be here and also to hear about this great innovation. So it was very interesting. Thank you very much. Before I jump into the Industry 4.0 world, I would like to say a few words about BGV and our enterprise photo investment thesis, which is a bit different from the Industry 4.0, so it's a lot of 4.0. Anyway, so can you go to the next slide, please? Yes, so who we are. So we are an early stage investor based in the Silicon Valley with a presence in France, in India, and in Israel, as mentioned. We have been around for some time and we're now managing more than $300 million. Our focus is really enterprise software. So we are only investing in B2B solutions who are leading the digital transformation of all sectors of the economy. And I must say that the industrial sector is part of this thesis. Another specificity of our fund is that we're 100% focused on cross-border companies. So we are investing in companies that are conceived outside the US, and we help them scale up globally. Could you please go to the next slide? Yes, so here is a team. We are a team of 12 investors, and 10 are based in the US. And my partner have a deep operational experience in the US, building their own company, but also working as executive in public companies such as ABM, HP, NetApp, and other companies that you can see here. And actually, we use this operational experience to help our company to establish themselves in the US, help them find the right go-to-market, the right product market fit. And we're also leveraging our network to help them recruit the best talent, best partner, customer, and so on. In the bottom of the slide, it's interesting. We're a very diverse team, and I would say we're diverse by design from the beginning. I know we heard a lot about diversity, but we're coming from different culture: Israeli, French, Indian, Russian, Iranian, Japanese, and actually I'm not mentioning them all. And I think it's also why we decided to focus on cross-border investment, because we really know what is it to move to a new country, to a new market, and especially in the US. So I think in the next slide, you will be able to see our active portfolio company across geographies and across sectors. So we have made investment in the digital selling and collaboration, in cybersecurity, in DevOps, and also in industry-specific vertical SaaS solution. And actually, I'm going to present very briefly 2 of them in the Industry 4.0 market. And in the next slide, you can see actually our whole investment thesis is around enterprise photo. So it's a new wave of enterprise software. And it's a combination of three main elements, which are working all together. So the first one is AI, which could be represented in a form of vision, robotic, voice, NLP, etc. Another important element for us is intelligent automation with the use of workflow automation. So for us, it's not only about providing the best insight or the best prediction with an AI, but it's really important to be integrated into the workflow of the user to actually maximize the value of the technology. And finally, unique dataset. And what we look for is how companies have proprietary access to historical data, as well as new data sets that are being generated. And actually, this combination of AI, intelligent automation, and unique data sets, we strongly believe that this combination will create a new wave of cloud-native startups that are completely disrupting the enterprise world. And you can see on the right of this slide, we believe that it's redefining security, redefining infrastructure, redefining application. And this is really our focus at BGV. And for the purpose of this session today, I will focus on one application. So for the Industry 4.0, which is a subcategory of our enterprise photo investment thesis. And it's interesting to look at what's happening in that industry, how AI is disrupting the manufacturing area. And Benjamin, can you go to the next slide, please? Yes, and I think it's quite interesting, and we can see that we're in a pretty unique time with the pandemic. Like, manufacturers understand that they need to have some advanced manufacturing technique, the need for automation. And what I see now is that there is a real acceleration in adoption. But at the same time, looking at this report from PwC, we realize that we're still at the early stage. Only 6% of the factories are completely digitalized. So I would say there is a massive opportunity in that industry. And we have been talking with some experts in that field, and we have identified few challenges to adoption who could explain this friction. Next slide, please. Yes, so we learned that there are few challenges to adoption in that space. The first one is a skill gap. Actually, the manufacturing space is still low-tech, and realize that sometimes manager, worker don't have the IT capabilities to implement the smart solution. And also, innovation also needs to be understood by the people on the ground. And sometimes this smart solution doesn't fail because they are not providing the best, the right result, the right prediction, but the workforce doesn't understand or even don't trust that result. So what we learn here with those experts is that there is a real need for a simple tool in that industry. Another reason why manufacturers are pretty hesitant to implement smart solution is that it seems that the risk of failure seems to be too high. Sometimes they are afraid that if they are implementing a new technology into their system, it will create some breakdown, could be expensive. So they are looking for non-invasive solution who could address this challenge. Optimizing data use, I think over the past year, a vast amount of data have been generated with the sensors. And the problem is that there are disparate sensor. So at the end, you have like a non-connected, unconnected system, and it's hard for a manufacturer to really understand, combine this data, and make decision based on that. So manufacturers really need to find also some solution to get this data from disparate sources. And finally, cybersecurity threat. Of course, when you are connecting your machine, there is some new vulnerabilities, and this challenge is sometimes not understood well by the people on the ground. So based on this concern, we are looking for a few elements in Industry 4.0 solution at BGV. And you can see in the next slide a few of them, and I'm going to mention some of them. Yes, so maybe one slide before Benjamin, please. Yes, so very quickly, a few elements that we're looking for in Industry 4.0 solution at BGV. So we're looking for a solution, as mentioned, that use AI to analyze input data, to deliver actionable insight. And I think it's important to deliver actionable insight without the need of data scientists, without the need of programmer, actually to address the skill gap. We're also looking for a solution that could be easily integrated into the value chain process, shouldn't require any process change, actually to increase the adoption. And also we're looking for some solution that address the cybersecurity challenge in an automated way. So to illustrate those, I'm going to present two of our portfolio company. The first one is Drishti in the next slide. So actually, Drishti is a pioneer in Industry 4.0, and I remember the first time I talked to them. It was a few years ago when I joined BGV. And I was surprised to learn that 70% of the factory tasks are still handled by human. And by saying that, it means that 70% of the factory's tasks are still invisible to analytics. And it's pretty difficult to understand what just happened, what's happening now, and how do we improve what happened next. And Drishti is actually solving this problem. They are using AI, computer vision, adding some camera to analyze all the human movement in the assembly line. So they are able to collect all this data, analyze them, and can actually reduce the process variation, improve the training process, reduce the quality issues. So it's a great example of how AI and human can work together for mutual benefits. In the next slide, I think we can see, maybe for a time purpose, I will pass on this one because I want to keep some time to talk about the second portfolio company called Everest Lab. So it's in the waste management field. And it's pretty crazy in that field that recycling equipment can only capture 60% of the objects, and a human needs to back up this equipment to improve the performance. And we must say also that this job to manually do the recycling is not the safer job or the most enjoyable job. So the industry really understands the need to improve the automation. So this is actually what Everest Lab is doing. They are using AI, computer vision, robotics to improve the recycling process and therefore improve the sustainability. And actually, I love that vision. And it's a great company. They are easy to use, easy to implement, and providing ROI very quickly. So yes, here we have made other investment in the Industry 4.0, but it's just like to mention two of them. And yes, and I think I will stop here. And I would like to say that I would be happy to invest more in Industry 4.0. And if you feel that you are matching our investment thesis, feel free to reach out. I think in the next slide, I put my email address, sarah@bgv.vc, or you can directly reach out via LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for this very complete introduction to BGV, for the concrete examples of the startup within your portfolio and your views about Industry 4.0. And indeed, if you want to go through us to reach to go to BGV, don't hesitate. We'll be happy also to facilitate an introduction to the fund. Well, thanks again. I would like to thanks again all the speakers. It was once again a very rich and insightful session. And yeah, thanks to all the speakers for their presentation. So now I would like to give the floor to Antoine, partner at Impulse, to conclude this session.
Thank you very much to all the speakers that have been with us today. It was very, very interesting to hear all of you. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing with us the views from BGV on Industry 4.0, and I'm sure that the 4 startup speakers were very interesting to learn about your vision as an investor in this field of activities. I want to address a special thanks to Christina from SurfCleaner, because I think that the waste treatment management is a field of interest where there is not so much startup innovation, and I think it's very interesting to lay stress on that and to see that there is many things to be done in the industry field to improve wastewater management. And that Industry 4.0 is also a field where environmental performance is subject for innovation and for startups. Thank you also to Mathieu and Damien. I think that NavVis and Rovenso both illustrate in different ways a very interesting subject, which is how can we improve the data we have on our industrial assets, and how can we use this data for better asset management, meaning making sure that we take the good decision at the good situation, but also simply monitoring in an efficient way the industrial assets. So very interesting to see NavVis and Rovenso today as being two sides of the same coin, I would say. In terms of how do you use data and data acquisition for better industrial asset management. And finally, I think Arnaud from Energiency illustrates very meaningfully how artificial intelligence is at the core of many performance improvements. So here we talked about energy performance, and we know that energy performance will remain for many years now a massive issue for all industrial actors, but we can also think that artificial intelligence can be used in different other perspectives, including industrial process improvement and so on. So thank you very much to all our guests today, and I want also to announce the next session of Impulse Talks. So it will be in April, and it's a new session that will address a new subject for us. We will have a session specifically focusing on hydrogen, which is brand new for us, and we will renew this also in May. And in next June, we will have a session on smart city. I think we also have to thank, but Benjamin has already done this earlier, but we have to say thank you to our distribution partners who make sure that this event has always big success, and you have many people attending every month. So thank you very much to all of you. And of course, as always, we would love to hear your feedback on this session. So you have a digital survey you can fill following this link, or just flashing the QR code if you want. It won't take too much time to use, so please take the time for a quick feedback. And it is also for you a good opportunity to ask us if you want to be put in contact with one or more of the speakers that were present today. So feel free to ask if you want to know more from the startups, or if you want to be in touch with Sarah from BGV. Okay, so once again, thank you very much. And we have time now for a quick question and answer session. If you want to know more from the startups or from BGV, feel free to ask a question. You can ask your question in the chat or unmute your microphone if you want. Of course, if you don't have a question, or if you prefer to ask it remotely, you can once again fill the digital survey. So you have the link in the chat where you can also ask your question, and we will transfer the question to the speakers. So this is the end of our session today. Thank you very much for attending, for being with us, and we are looking forward to seeing you again in the next session next month. Thank you very much to everybody.